Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Friday. Hope you've got a great weekend planned for yourself. It is Todd McFarlane Day, so we're looking at the next issue in his Spider-Man run from the early 90s. This is issue number 10, cover dated May 1991, and this is Perceptions, part 3 of 5, the child killer storyline taking place in British Columbia, up here in Canada. Let's start with the cover real quick. We've got guest stars Wolverine and Wendigo. Or Wendigo, again, pronunciation. Let me know in the comments what you think and which one is proper. Not much to say about this cover. I think this is a deadline issue. I'll tell you why as we open up the pages and have a look inside. But specifically with this cover, I feel like it was drawn pretty quickly. Some whiteout was applied here, and Wolverine's claws are really kind of shaky if you look up close. And most of the characters are in silhouette. So this was, again, probably drawn pretty quickly. Maybe some deadline issues as related as well to stuff on the inside, which, again, I will talk about once we get there. Pretty cool looking cover nonetheless. Still some cool McFarlane stuff. He's still exaggerating the Wolverine thing here. Not quite sure if the inside of his mask here should have been colored yellow. That's a weird choice. I kind of just noticed that now. So maybe it doesn't really matter that much, but maybe that should have been maybe a dark blue or something, as they usually do with like black elements of costumes, or in this case maybe the inside is blue. I'm not quite sure about Wolverine's mask. I guess most times it's black. Anyways, enough about the cover. Let's have a look inside. This is clever if you're talking about deadlines, right? This splash page here, really cool looking page. As a kid I thought, whoa, that's so awesome. And what I wasn't thinking about is, wow, as an artist, how quickly am I gonna get through this page here? This page, you could probably do this in no more than like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I think, even done properly. It's just a cool idea, well executed, and if you're on a deadline, you're working pretty fast, yeah, 25 minutes, you should be able to get through this page here. And it looks awesome, so why wouldn't you, right? Good deadline killer. Oh, he's doing the Liefeld. So we're going to turn, I don't think that's all going to fit inside the frame here, unfortunately, but let me just give you the gist of what's going on here. So they just shot the Wendigo, and Wendigo obviously not happy about it. We saw Wolverine running towards the situation last issue, so he will intervene pretty soon. Wendigo kind of pushing everyone out of the way here, drawing these guys around. I like how, you know, you've got the one panel with all these background details, you know, filling you in on the environment, continuing from the double page splash, which had a lot of texture and plant life and stuff. And then he just cuts it all out here for, you know, for clarity's sake in this shot here. And I think it looks good, and it doesn't look like he's cheaping out on the art. And again, it's a deadline issue, mainly because it's mentioned in a letter page. Now I'm going to talk about it. Some of these pages have been inked by other guys. So if I'm not mistaken, there's Rick Magyar. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that either. Let me know in the comments. Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Rob Liefeld inking some of these pages. So what we've seen up to date, I'm pretty sure that's McFarlane. I could kind of, you know, he's got a pretty distinctive style. I'm going to try to point out when I think it's those other guys. I think it's pretty clear when it's Rick Magyar and Rob Liefeld. The only two I kind of have a trouble distinguishing is Rob Liefeld and Scott Williams, which makes sense because Scott Williams inks Jim Lee a lot, and I'm sure their styles kind of cross over and have certain ticks that are similar. So they probably ink similarly, if I can say that. Cool shot of the Wendigo here. McFarlane again, not one of those artists who's really good on the consistency, but every shot kind of looks different and cool and fun in a different, cool and fun, different way. A lot of repetition there. So yeah, so these, like, once again, Wolverine kind of off model here. All of a sudden his mask is kind of bending in the opposite direction. It's gotten very long. Obviously trying to give him like a feral look, animalistic and stuff, so that's cool. I'm not sure you need to add claws, but that's Tom McFarlane again. He's adding claws to a character who's already got the claws popping out, but not on this hand, so it's a little weird. And I think this is our first example here of an inked page inked by someone else. So I'm going to venture to say that this is Rick Magyar, if I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure that's him inking this page here. One thing I'll mention, it's soft. He softens up the art, and there's not quite as much noodling on the figures and stuff as there usually is with Tom McFarlane. But he still does a pretty good job, I think, of being faithful, hopefully, to what McFarlane's laid down with the silhouette here. Again, the texture is kind of more 80s-ish than 90s-ish, but it still works, and you recognize a McFarlane character. One of the few times here, even though it's inked by someone else, that McFarlane does this weird leaving an open space for shadow where I think it actually works. There's other comics where they color it a different color and stuff, and it really doesn't work, and I don't like it. For some reason, though, excuse me, with the color scheme and the lighting and the time of night, and the fact that it's kind of a dark purpley blue here, it does actually create kind of a sense of shadow, and one of the rare instances, I think, in my opinion, that this kind of thing McFarlane does actually works is in this issue here. I think that looks pretty cool and different and interesting. So Rick Magyar inking that page, I think. So we got the journalist meeting up with Peter Parker, and we've got the requisite shot of Felix on his boxers here. If you know the legend, Spawn, or excuse me, Todd McFarlane. I'm confusing Spawn and Todd. Todd McFarlane had told a mega fan of Felix, that if he bought his comics, he would make sure that Felix was in each and every issue. So he started doing that on Amazing Spider-Man, did it on Spider-Man, kept doing it on Spawn. So true to his word. Guess it ended up being something a little bit just fun for him as well. I like here the conversation, instead of throwing another shot of either of the characters, you know, with the word bubbles here, just kind of a quick backdrop of the city and the mountains and stuff. It's a nice way to just make the page a little bit different, move things along, change the scenery. Some more ink, different, what was I trying to say there? Some more different looking inking here. So again, McFarlane's still exaggerating some of the Wolverine's costume attributes with the boots here. I don't think they're supposed to look like that from that angle, but it looks kind of cool. It's kind of designy. And again, we've got, pretty sure, Rick Magyar doing the inking on this page here. Here's a page where I think we revert back to McFarlane. This definitely looks like his kind of line all the way pretty much throughout. Wolverine rips off his costume here to look really feral. I do kind of like the almost, he's pretty much doing like Wolverine as Wolfman here. I think Wolverine looks cool here. One of the rare instances where we see him without his mask by Tom McFarlane. So this, again, I definitely think is Todd McFarlane. I mean, if he's only going to be inking a few pages and handing off other pages for people to help him out, it makes sense that he would keep the cooler pages to ink, or the funner pages. I guess I would consider these some of the funner pages to ink. This page, there's some stuff that kind of, I still think it's probably McFarlane. Just, again, deadline issues making him not do so much noodling here and there, but overall it does look pretty much true to form, to like McFarlane's style. Here's another example where he does that, doesn't fill in the silhouette and just kind of does a bit of hatching and throw some color in there. Again, this is an example where, like, I mean, it works to a degree where you know what's going on here, but it just, aesthetically, it's just not very pleasing. I think it doesn't work that well. So Wolverine whispers to Peter Parker, that he knows he's Spider-Man, and meet me at a certain place wherever, from the shadows. Peter Parker obviously not happy about it. So this is one of the pages here where this is either Scott Williams or Jim Lee, and I can't really tell you which is which. I could, with maybe some of the kind of hatching I'm seeing here, I would tend to think this is maybe Jim Lee, but I certainly don't know 100%. So I'm going to go maybe with Jim Lee, but it could be Scott Williams. But it really depends on how many pages were inked. I'm not exactly sure how many pages were inked by other inkers. But by the end of the issue, we should be able to make it out. And I'll give you a final tally on the Williams and Jim Lee pages. So I'm going to go with Jim Lee for now, inking this one here. This one, I mean, if you know anything about Rob Liefeld, he's the one inking this. Even though it's over some Tom McFarlane pencils, it's very recognizable, slightly grittier kind of style, and I think it really works. I mean, I would love to see, a complete comic drawn by Tom McFarlane and inked by Rob Liefeld. I think that would be, in this style, I think that would be awesome. Rob Liefeld doing some of his personal kind of touch here in the back. Still Rob Liefeld here. Always thought that's not on Rob Liefeld, that's on Tom McFarlane. Just an awkward kind of position for Spider-Man here. Just a weird choice. I don't know about you. Like, just doesn't really look cool, to be honest. It's kind of funny. It's one of those McFarlane-isms, those quirks that he sometimes has. And here, where he's landing on the ground here on the one hand, is so Liefeld. Like, look at the way the hand is finished off here. This must have been a pretty kind of basic sketch from McFarlane here with a few lines, because Rob Liefeld has almost made it his own here. It's just that McFarlane's a little more adept at bending the spider anatomy and doing foreshortening and stuff. I think he's better at it than Rob Liefeld. Again, the amalgam of Todd McFarlane pencils and Rob Liefeld inks, I think is really cool. I really enjoy it. So here's another page, inked, not by McFarlane. So I tend to think this is the Scott Williams page. There's just something about it where he's still kind of inking a little bit more West Coast and more Jim Lee-ish, but at the same time, still trying to be pretty close to what McFarlane's laid down. So you kind of get a mix of both, right? The textures here are pretty darn close to what McFarlane would do on plants and trees and stuff. It's just a little sharper with that West Coast kind of edge. And again, Jim Lee doesn't ink as much, and Williams does, so maybe he's more adept at, just like in this case, adapting a little bit more to McFarlane's style for what he's doing here. And Jim Lee is kind of imposing a little bit more of his style on top of McFarlane. This page here, too, I would venture to say is probably Scott Williams once again, because it's kind of the happy medium between a Jim Lee kind of look and a Todd McFarlane kind of look. It's a little cleaner than McFarlane, a little more controlled. Right, the hatching lines here, I see a lot on Jim Lee's kind of stuff, right? The way the spider logo has been drawn. But still close enough to what McFarlane's laying down where, you know, it works pretty seamlessly in with the McFarlane stuff. Like this page, definitely McFarlane. And I say that, now I'm not so sure. I would venture to say it's probably McFarlane. This as well. So again, deadline issues, it's always quick to, you know, get some exposition out of the way, throw in a big Spider-Man head. Probably doesn't take him too much time to draw that. A couple of shots of some secondary characters there in the storyline, and off we go. So basically, Spider-Man and Wolverine here kind of making a pact that, you know, they're going to work together to catch these child killers. And then we got a final splash page. Kind of cool and iconic, right? You got Wolverine and Spider-Man together. In one of the last times McFarlane would draw either character. Slowly moving towards that point. We got 2 more issues to go on the storyline here, involving Wolverine and Wendigo in the Spider-Man title. Basically created for Todd McFarlane as a vanity project. And I'm saying that in the nicest kind of tone. Certainly glad we have those issues. Loved them as a kid, still love them today. So there you go. That is the review for Spider-Man issue 10. If you have any thoughts, comments, concerns, pronunciations, let me know in the comments below. If you are a subscriber and you're still watching, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It takes a second. Really helps the channel out. It helps get us out there to other like-minded people who are into the same kind of stuff you and I are, namely comic books. Everyone out there, have an awesome day.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.